Maybe it's just me, but I truly feel as though the Seven Deadly Sins Revival of the Commandments, aka the true second season of the Seven Deadly Sins, is so massively underrated. I mean, it is a crime how underrated I feel this series, not even just the season, the series itself is, because not a lot of people are really talking about this, and I'm surprised, because I remember when season 1 came out, everybody was really going crazy. Season 2, it took a while, because that was quite a few years ago since it finished airing, but it was about the same amount of distance like Attack on Titan, maybe a bit less, a year or two less than how long it took for Attack on Titan to return. On top of, we did have those little 4 OVAs that was released on Netflix, but come on, yo, the Seven Deadly Sins, maybe I stand alone with this, but it is a damn good show, and episode 2 continues to prove just that. Now, it's interesting, and I think what Seven Deadly Sins does so well that a lot of shonen, battle shonen, don't really do at all, or if they do, they just barely flirt with the idea. They never dive completely into it, and that's romance. The Seven Deadly Sins does romance and almost makes it feel as though it's kind of like a soap opera, but you still have really awesome plot building and world building and really cool characters at the same time, is what you feel with episodes like this episode. There's just so much going on with so many different characters. It's like, it's crazy. You really get a moment with majority of the sins. This is what I like when you have a large cast, because at the end of the day, 6 main characters at the moment until we get the final sin, on top of, you know, all the side characters like, you know, the Knights, Gil Thunder, Hauser, the villains, the introduction to these 10 commandments, which I will say a criticism of the episode, we didn't get too much of them with this episode. We mainly got a little bit of information on what's going on with them, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but we really didn't focus too much on the 10 commandments. So in that regard, maybe it suffered from showcasing more of the villains in this episode, but everybody of the sins has a plot line, and it was almost all set up in this episode, which that's a very good thing, because okay, if you're gonna have all these characters, and it's called the Seven Deadly Sins, you gotta have them all doing something, which I guess in contrast to something like, for example, people would say, maybe they would argue the Seven Deadly Sins does it better with focusing in on the main cast more than something like One Piece. But the difference is, One Piece isn't exactly about these characters. Yeah, they're a driving force, but it's also about this grand story. The Seven Deadly Sins is mainly about these 7 deadly sins. Of course, we still don't have the final one, which is kind of funny, and I'm expecting, because I did a poll on Twitter, and I know I'm deviating, but I did a poll on who's the best sin, and there was that final sin that hasn't been revealed yet was pretty low on there, and I was like, okay, the people that did vote, they were manga readers, and the people that voted majority were animes. Wait until the 7th sin is revealed. I will just say that. But now, diving into a lot of things that happened with the episode, for starters, let's talk about Meliodas. And you guys probably won't even see in this season exactly what I'm hinting at, because I won't spoil anything. Do not worry if you haven't seen the episode or haven't started this season yet and you're just curious or whatever. I won't spoil, but the amount of foreshadowing that was in this episode with Meliodas' character and the relationship between him and Elizabeth was incredible, and I mean it more than just what's on the surface, because within this episode, one of the problems, Meliodas is kind of shook. He's trying to keep it together, he's trying to hide it, he's trying to blind Elizabeth with, you know, just being silly, still groping up on her, which I love that shit, that's funny or whatever, but he's trying to hide the fact that he's a little bit intimidated by the presence of these people, because whatever history he may have or what he knows of these people. So you can see that Meliodas' character is bothered, but that is just scratching the surface of this character, and in due time it'll all come to light, everything that this character is feeling right now. But I just love seeing it, because I'm a manga reader, I'm not caught up, but I've read quite a bit of what's going to happen in this arc, and Meliodas' character, just a small setup in this, and it's crazy. Again, you might look at it, and if you haven't read the manga, you don't know what I'm talking about, but Meliodas' character is amazingly deep and complex. So what you're seeing in this episode of him being nervous, you have no idea. You don't even know the half of why he's really feeling this way. So very interesting and very subtle at the same time with Meliodas' character in this episode, him saying that he wants to completely leave Elizabeth behind. He doesn't want her to travel on with them because he knows shit is going to go down. That's one of the big reasons. He knows that she's going to be a distraction. He can't really protect her, and that's also building, which is great. Not only are you diving more into Meliodas' character, but you're also setting up for these villains. Meliodas knows they ain't no joke. They're going to have to, put the people that they have to protect aside somewhere so they don't got to worry about them in this fight. That's how you subtly build up these villains. Now, again, quickly to touch up on the villains, like I said earlier, not much of them in this episode, but we did get a golden nugget finding out about what's going on with them right now. Since they were just revived, something happened where majority of them are lacking their magical power. They don't really have it. If not all of them, I think Fraudrin might still have his powers, but majority of the 10 commandments, they don't have their full power, or if not all of their power. They were able to fly, like the one created wings, so I'm imagining they have some access to something there, but they're not at their peak at the moment. So as of right now, they're moving. They're probably going to try and get their power however they know how to get it back, but they're definitely a lot more weakened seemingly from the lines that we got in this episode. So yeah, definitely didn't focus in on them, which it's the revival of the commandments. They're going to be a big deal in this arc, but the setup we did get is really interesting. So it showcases the sins. If these people are way stronger than the sins, and we're going to probably get all sorts of power level scouter shit now that we have that introduced with Hawk in episode 1, it's setting up for some insane stuff with the commandments. Not too much in this episode, but it was an interesting setup with these seemingly bad guys, right? Then going back into the romance situation, because the Meliodas thing, on top of all that, yeah, it had the relationship between Meliodas and Elizabeth, whatever it may be right now, because it's not really a, romantic thing. He does grope up on her and shit, but they're not a couple and official. They're not Facebook official right now, okay? It'll happen in due time. Moving forward, a new couple that was revealed in this season is, or it might have been, I don't know if it was revealed in the end of last season, I can't really remember. However, it is Galder and Guila. I don't know how to pronounce her name in English properly. It was Zagira, Guila, whatever. They're a couple, and in this episode you see that Galder is really fucked up. And another thing, beware for anime only viewers, I'm not spoiling, I'm just giving you a heads up. That's another complex character, and as we progress through this arc, you will see just how crazily you don't even know what's going on with Galder half the time. Really interesting and complex character, and it's showcased in this one what Galder is. It's almost as if Galder is kind of a lost soul, so to speak. He's looking for acceptance, he's looking for love, he's looking for different things, and you gotta look at it because he stated in this episode, at first he was chasing after Meliodas and Bond. He wanted friendship. He realized, though, along the way, that love is even stronger based on the actions of these people and why they were doing it. He's like, okay, they're doing this over love. That's a really strong thing. And he wanted to feel that. So you got to think, okay, he just wants to feel something incredible. Why? Does he lack emotions? Does he lack, what is the problem with Galder? Why would he be on such a quest to feel these things, and why doesn't he feel them to begin with? Why doesn't he understand friendship? Why, a lot of mystery shrouding around Galder, and then this episode really pushed him forward to almost antagonist level. Now, obviously, the main villains and the main threat of everything right now are the 10 commandments. Well, they're not the biggest threat at the moment because they're not full powered, but they're still a pretty credible threat to make Meliodas get scared, you know what I'm saying? But Galder definitely threw us for a loop with this one, because not only did he fuck shit up and erased Guila and her little brother Zeal's memories, and then he's about to go at it with Diane. He knocked out everyone within the kingdom that has a, power level of 400 or less. Everybody fainted. Obviously, Diane is a strong girl, so she's not going to faint or whatever, but we got a setup for Diane and Galder looking like they're about to throw down, and then Galder's like, nah, I don't want it right now. And it's interesting as well. I liked how Nakaba played around with this, because we had the whole aspect of Diane losing her memories, and she just got them back in this episode, again going into the romance between her and King. But then on top of that, she's fighting somebody that just erased somebody else's memories and doesn't understand the importance of this. And that's the interesting complexity right there with their relationship, is that, well, one, they're all a part of the 7 deadly sins, right? Galder lacks these things that Diane just completely understood, or for the most part is trying to understand her feelings with King. She knows she wants to be with him, so she's gotten a bit into it at the very least. But it's interesting that Galder is trying to get everything that Diane has just acquired. He's just doing it in his own crazy way. He's one of those type of Psy characters, so to speak, that don't understand human interaction very well. So he's kind of like those really bad trolls in the anime community. Okay, that was a bit much. And then going more back into Bond. Bond, of course, in the previous episode, he left the Seven Deadly Sins. King followed. We find out in this episode, he went to the fairy forest, and looking at the situation and how much it has changed, it showcases, one, the good nature of Bond. As always, Bond isn't really a bad guy. You see that the fairies has accepted him as their king. First of all, you look at, wait, the fairies are alive still, the forest is still there, what's going on? And then, of course, King's return and seeing kind of how much they resent him for everything in the past. So the past is coming back to haunt King in a way of things that he felt he should have done differently or whatever. But you see that at the end of the day, they both have an objective. They both really care for Elaine. Bond wants to bring her back. I'm not exactly sure where King is with that, as he's content. I believe that's what Bond is really trying to do. And also you see that Bond diving into his character. I know I'm getting really deep and analyzing this shit here, but you can see that Bond is conflicted because of what he said about basically he's a terrible person for trying to kill his comrade to save another person, to save a female, you know. So what he did to Meliodas really fucked with him. And all around, honestly, great stuff with Bond's character. It's interesting to see where he's going. I do find it a little bit creepy, the Bond x Elaine situation, just because Elaine looks really young. She's a lowly, but she's technically really, really old, so it slides, but it's too creepy. Bond's trying to slide into something too narrow, you feel me? And the revelation of King being able to see Helbram, I remember reading that in the manga and thinking to myself, this had to be solely because of fan service, because I remember Helbram was very popular in all of the fan polls. I'm imagining that's the main reason why he was brought back. I wasn't a big fan of that, honestly. I felt like, yeah, okay, he's not really back. He can only be seen if you wear this helmet, or if King wears this helmet. We don't even know if other people can see him when they wear the helmet or whatever, but as of right now, that's what we know. And it's like, he was solely brought back because this is a popular character, and it's like, makes me feel a certain way. So again, another criticism, I've already mentioned a few, but that one in particular is like, I like the character, but the way he went out and the great fights that he's had, it was like, he should have stayed probably, but maybe he can help to push King forward in his character development quest, because he still has a long way to go. He still is very shy and timid and scared and not understanding things and how to approach Diane. So there's that, which again, more romance. It should be the 7 Deadly Romances or something. And last but not least, just to touch up on the 10 Commandments once more, it seems as though the guy that has the body of Hauser's father, I get confused with all these names or whatever, but Fraudrin, he just woke up 10 years ago, so it gotta kind of make you curious of, wow, for 10 years now, this guy has been sly and pulling all these maneuvers to revive these people. What is his goals as well? So many different things. Kind of curious what you guys think about it. Biggest question right now, does the 7 Deadly Sins Season 2 Revival of the Commandments, does it need and deserve more attention because of what's happening with Netflix, that it's not legally available until like another 6 months? A lot of people ain't checking it out, and it's a shame because it's a damn good season and a damn good series and one of the better new shonens that have come out in quite a few years now. But that is all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day.